This is the highlands of Papua New Guinea, and this is a tribe. You can see the child in the center holding the white rose. The white rose is the world's most ancient symbol of peace, and in every civilization all over the planet when it's been recorded as a symbol of peace and as a symbol of pure love. And the Antarctic Treaty was signed for peace and scientific endeavour. So this is what got me down there the first time. This is scientist Claire Beat, and this is during our field training. And you can see one of the issues with photographing in Antarctica. It's not trick photography. There is a whole lot of things behind her, but down there it's like 50 shades of white, which is a little bit tricky. Anthony can talk to you about that. So this is a view from square frame. And the second time that I went down to Antarctica was to make a film called Silence, and it was about finding peace on the ice. And there's something down in Antarctica called the deafening silence. So the mission was to speak to scientists at Scott Base, to speak to the team at Scott Base and at McMurdo and find out where they experienced it, and then go out into the field and record what it looks like. This is an image that I'm super proud of. It's a drone shot, and I was happy just to be able to get the drone down there. These are the melt pools in the pressure field, and if you go for a little walk out in front of Scott Base, this is what you will see. This is where the frozen Ross Sea crashes up against Ross Island, and you get all these crazy formations popping up, and they can change daily. It's quite incredible, and you're out there with the seals. So what we were doing when we were there was capturing images, and we were going to places in certain times and certain days, and everything would change. My first trip to Antarctica was just under a month, and I didn't see Erebus once. This is the first time I saw Erebus, and this face appeared. You can see the moon there as well. I call this the Angel of Erebus, and we were up at Castle Rock recording what silence looks like. And this is a welcome sight. The Kiwi chopper pilots are absolute legends down there, and this is after we got stuck in the dry valleys for 4 days on a healthy ration of cheese, chocolate, red wine, and garlic salt. Long story. Don't report that. Hef was flying in. And you can see how low the cloud is there. And the Kiwi chopper pilots are complete legends. They're happy to fly under it. This is a full colour photograph down there, and the reason I've included this one is just to give you a sense of the different tones that are down there. So there's no smell, there's no sound, and the colour palette is extraordinarily limited until you wake up and you see this. This is Spalding Pond in the dry valleys, and so we go down there and we get water to make our coffee in the morning. It looks like it's being fiddled with. It's just completely incredible, and that is the first time that I experienced what silence looks like, and I can only describe it, if you are slightly spiritual, as the sound of Om, which is the sound of the universe. This is the bleakest place I have been to on the planet, the shot you're looking at right now. This is Dr. Charlie Lee, and this is the cross at Discovery Hut, which is just in front of McMurdo. And every time I went there, it was bleak, it was bitter, and there's extraordinary tales from this particular hut. This is a shot inside the hut, and as the sun comes around, there's one little window that lights the scene, and just in front of this is the pan, which famously still has remnants of their last meal, which has been recorded as seal. This is also a full-colour photograph. This is the door at Discovery Hut on Discovery Point. And reportedly Shackleton's name is engraved. He scratched it into this door. I couldn't find it. It's one of my favourite shots. It just sits within you as this terrifying, bleak kind of situation. This, on the flip side, is Shackleton's hut. And this is where I took a photograph called Shackleton's Legacy. And you can see how this is a little bit brighter, it's a little bit chirpier. They spent a couple of years here on one of their expeditions, and just at the back in the kitchen there's an open tin of biscuits. And you can see the biscuits there, and it's literally like they've just walked out. My grandfather was neighbour to Sir Edmund Hillary, and I grew up in the 70s. My grandfather came to New Zealand on a wooden sailing boat, and I photographed this with his Leica lens on my camera, and called this Shackleton's Legacy, and we sold one of those prints, and we donated the money to the Antarctic Heritage Trust for the Hillary's hut. One of the exciting things about Antarctica is the stories of transportation. And so to get to the places to record what silence looks like, you have to get there in some pretty insane ways, and Ski-Doos is one of them. And one of the places that we were told about that we would experience what silence looks like was at the tip of the Erebus ice tongue. This is where we are here. This is my wife, who should not be unsung in this moment. She is the filmmaker, looking rather warm compared to me in that particular photograph. And we were there with John Tyler, who's a bit of a legend, and he took us down into an ice cave. We had to kind of discover where it was and then rappel down. You can see at the very bottom here, there's a little bit of rope. It's probably the most alien environment I've ever been to. The bottom of the cave floats off the seawater, and there's seals racing around underneath. You can't see them, but you can hear their pinging. And we just left the camera slowly rotating in this environment and filming and recording the sound. This is during the storm that got us waylaid a little bit for 4 days in the dry valleys, and this is called Skyfall. This is looking over to one of the glaciers, and someone else commented tonight how difficult it is to try and get a sense of scale, and everything in Antarctica is just so alien and out of whack. It takes hours and hours and hours to walk anywhere where you think it might take 5 minutes. And this is at Scott's Hut when the sea ice is breaking up. And on my second trip here, a pod of killer whales came around the corner past the floating iceberg, and we wondered why all of the seals and the penguins were hopping out. It was an unworldly scene. And 2 of the best nights I've ever spent were at that hut. I'm going to leave you with this image because I love it, and it doesn't seem very Antarctic, but this is after a very, very cold night, and we went out at about 5 in the morning, and we just hovered the drone above the melt pools. And the mission was to go to Antarctica and discover what silence looks like, and I can tell you that we did, and it was because of the team at Scott Base. Thank you very much.